Well, good morning. Good to see you. Sorry, there was a couple minutes late. I hit start, but it went on the fritz somehow. So good to see you here this morning. It looks a little fuzzy, so hopefully we have a good connection. Don't know why we wouldn't, but good to see Deb and Tate here this morning, and Tim. Thanks, Tate, for giving us a thumbs up. That's good. I appreciate that. So I'm glad to see that we've got a few here this morning. Had a week off last week and vacation, and it was nice. Got to just relax and not have to worry about taking care of things last week. I just had a relaxing week and then a good weekend with my mother and sister. So it's always a blessing to go see family. But we're jumping back into our morning devotions with First Peter. And this was suggested by Cheryl. She had been reading through First Peter and she says, there's so much good stuff in there. Why don't you do some devotions through there? So I thought I'd do this. And I'm used to teaching or preaching verse by verse. We're not going to do that with First Peter. What we're going to do is we'll probably just take each section the way the English Standard Version has it sectioned off, which is probably the way whichever version you're reading has sections too, the natural breaks within the thought. And just talk about something that's within there, maybe the key verse or the best known verse, or maybe something that's overlooked in that section. So I think we'll probably do that when we go through First Peter here. But I want to talk this morning about this great salutation that you see, I think 16 different times in the New Testament. It's a greeting, and it's in chapter 1 of First Peter, and then verse 2b. So B makes it the second sentence. And it says, may grace and peace be multiplied to you. So that's what I wanted to talk about this morning, was that greeting. May grace and peace be multiplied to you. In verse 1 there, in the first part of verse 2, he's addressing who the letter is written to. And then may grace and peace be multiplied to you. That's the salutation that you see regularly by New Testament writers. In fact, it's a common, isn't it? You see Jesus do that after the resurrection. When he meets the disciples, he says, peace to you, peace be with you. And so that's a very common way of greeting. The Jews say it shalom, right? That's their greeting for peace. They say it when they greet somebody and when they leave somebody, shalom. And so it's a very common greeting in that time. But in the New Testament, you see the writers, Paul and Peter and John, when they write it, they add the word grace to it. So grace is that, of course, Christian concept that is new to the world in a way that when it comes through Christ and the forgiveness of Christ, that the world had never seen before. Now, God had showered his favor on the nations before. He had showered his favor on Israel, of course, but people before they were Israel were showered with God's favor and blessings. And so, that's what grace is also. When we think of grace, you might read the word grace in the Old Testament. Sometimes there are some Hebrew words that are translated grace. When we get in the New Testament, we think of grace as being the unmerited favor of God by giving us forgiveness of sins through Jesus Christ. And so some people will take the acronym GRACE and say God's riches at Christ's expense. And that's how they remember what grace means. But grace is more than just that. That's certainly the concept of grace and how we are forgiven. But grace in a larger context is blessings or favor or goodwill, thankfulness, is how we return grace to somebody, is being thankful. Scripture says that when we sit to pray, we return, or we say a word of grace. And so we say grace at the table when we're ready to eat. And then peace, of course, encompasses not just the peace of God, but peace between fellow man and inner peace. We want to make sure that we have inner peace throughout the day. But I like the way Peter says it here at the beginning. He also starts his second letter the same way, with the same sentence. May grace and peace be multiplied to you. Isn't that a great way to greet somebody? May grace and peace be multiplied to you. May you have them in abundance. May they overflow. I'm weird. I read this. The first time I read it, I thought grace and peace multiplied. Like grace times peace equals, right? It equals heaven, obviously. If you have grace plus peace, you have a satisfied life. Grace times peace is walking with God. But it's not grace times peace, it's just grace and peace multiplied. May you have more grace, may you have more peace. And when I read this, every time I read this greeting in the New Testament, I think, why don't we greet people in that way? Or depart from people in that way? Isn't that a great way to start a conversation with somebody or to leave? Now, if you start saying it, people at first will think you're really weird, right? Because most people, they say, how you doing? How's your day? How's it going? Usually have that sort of a greeting. And sometimes people listen to your response, and then sometimes, so ask you, so how are you doing? And then, I think they're probably asking me about my health. And so I say, well, I'm doing okay. And then some people say, are you lying to me? Are you really doing okay? Yeah, I'm doing okay. Just fair to middling, I guess, is what some people say. But I had some friends that decided to change up how they answered, and it was weird. So I asked this one guy, I said, how you doing? He says, I'm happier than a fat dog in a sausage factory. I said, well, that's a funny thing to be. And he said it, and it really caught me off guard because you just don't expect to hear that. I've got another friend that says the same thing Dave Ramsey says. He always says, well, how you doing? He says, I'm better than I deserve, is what he always says. Better than I deserve. And so when you hear something different than, oh, I'm okay or I'm all right, it kind of catches your attention. Wouldn't it be something today somebody asks you, how you doing? You say, may grace and peace be multiplied to you. See what their response is. You're going to totally catch them off guard. That's not what they're expecting to hear. They're just expecting you to mumble out an okay or an all right or something. But very rarely do you see somebody respond differently to that sort of greeting. But even when you're departing from somebody, how do you salute them then? What's your salutation then? See you later. Take it easy. Have a good one, right? Have a good day. That's what I always heard when I was a kid. Have a nice day. We used to hear that all the time. Have a nice day. And then I don't know when, here a few years ago, somebody decided to change it up and they made it super clunky. And they're like, have a good rest of your day. Have you heard people say that? It is just the dumbest sentence structure ever. Have a good rest of your day. And now I'll have a good rest. I'm happy to have a good rest anytime. I'll lay down and take a nap. But have a good rest of your day. Like, your day wasn't very good up until you saw me. And now it's going to get better. Or you've been at Walmart and now you're leaving Walmart and the cashier says, have a good rest of your day. And I think, well, certainly it can only go up from here because I've been at Walmart. So what kind of a departure would that be? Somebody says, hey, have a great rest of your day. And you say, may grace and peace be multiplied to you. Wow, that'll catch them, won't it? That'll catch them. So I'm going to try this morning. This morning, here in a little bit, I go drive school bus. I'm going to substitute for somebody. And as the kids are getting off the bus, this is what I'm going to say to them. May grace and peace be multiplied to you. Usually I say, see you later, alligator, or after a while, crocodile. One thing I love to tell the kids when they go is, have a great day in kid jail, which they really absolutely hate when I tell them that when they get off the bus, but it's a lot of fun. And so I always try to think of something different to say and funny to each kid as they get off. Be nice to your teachers, say hello to the janitor, something like that. I'm going to say to them today as they're getting off, may grace and peace be multiplied to you. I can't wait to see what their reaction is. But I think let's get more creative and more biblical with how we greet people and with how we leave people. And see if it doesn't bless people more, because that's a blessing. May grace and peace be multiplied to you. What a great blessing, isn't it? Can you imagine if somebody said that to you and they sincerely meant it? May God's favor shower down on you. May you have more peace in your life, less conflict. May you just have a greater sense of inner tranquility because of what God is doing in your life. If somebody really wished that upon you, and may it be multiplied. Every day gets better. Wow. What a great way to leave somebody. You'd really be walking on air, wouldn't you? May grace and peace be multiplied to you. So I read that, and every time I read it, like I say, it just stops me short, and I think, wow, why don't we do that more? And so I want to commit myself to getting in a habit of being more, I don't know, more thoughtful in the way I greet people and the way I leave people, and to do it in a way that honors people. Just like Pastor Juan, right? We kind of laugh because Pastor Juan is always, God bless, God bless, God bless. It becomes sort of he's known by that. But I like that. And when I run into Pastor Juan different places, I like to hear him when we're leaving. God bless, God bless. I don't know, I like it. It's who he is, and it stands out. He's a guy that blesses people. And so be the kind of person that brings a blessing in other people's life, not just another person there. Have a good rest of your day. Can only go up from here. Okay. Well, thanks for the thumbs up, Tim, on that one. And I want to wish you all grace and peace multiplied to you today. And see if God doesn't do that, because that's my wish for you today. My desire for you is that you have more grace and more peace, more power in the Holy Spirit. And we'll see you tomorrow.